Well, hello there. Welcome to the show. Still haven't really named it. It's calling it Well, Hello There now, but I'm not sure if that's going to stick. So anyway, I'm here at South by Southwest in the press room, blogger lounge. What is this thing called?
It's the press room.
Press room, okay. Phil Glockner, who just recently joined ReadWriteWeb. You're here on your ReadWriteWeb pass, right?
Yep. Have my press pass for ReadWriteWeb, and probably should actually write some blog entries to show that I am here as a guest. But yes.
Right on. Cool. Well, it's been a while since I moved up through the ranks, but I know you hang out on the site a lot. So, what's it been like in your first couple weeks there?
You know what? It's been a learning experience, to be completely honest. I went from writing on my blog and on Lewis Gray's blog, sort of on my own schedule. Obviously my own blog, I didn't have a schedule. I just posted whenever I wanted to.
Yeah.
And on Lewis, he doesn't really try to impose any sort of, it's not paid, first of all, and second, it's sort of an invitation to write. So I've never really felt a lot of pressure there. But now with ReadWriteWeb, I have an obligation. I'm a news writer there, so I do write a lot of entries a day, and it's a learning experience for me to try to get into a position where I'm trying to set a deadline for myself and find 2 or 3 topics a day that I can write about and write solid articles on. But it's come along. I've been doing that for 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, you get into the rhythm.
Yeah.
In ReadWriteWeb, it's not like they're not really high volume, so you get to be choosy still, like you do at Lewis Gray's.
Right. So they do about 10 to 14 posts a day generally.
Yeah.
And, compared to some of the bigger news sites, that's probably less or a third, half to a third of what they do. So, and again, we only have like 4 or 5 staffers that actually write all the time.
Mashable is trial by fire. I was up to 15 posts a day with my 3rd week.
No way.
Yeah. So
you see, that's the thing, though. I mean, how many posts do you think you can do a day and still have quality in those posts? I mean, 15, I think, is way over.
15 is not sustainable. I can tell you that. I was about burned out by the 4th or 5th week.
Okay.
But back then, we were doing a lot of 600-word posts, and that's when I would slide in, like every other day, I would slide in like a 1,000 or 1,500 word post. And they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. Do less of the other stuff and more of that. So that's kind of how we started shifting gears over there. So, but it wasn't sustainable. I mean, I dropped down to about, 3 or 4, and then it was 1 or 2, and then it was just 1 or 2 really decent editorials or a list post or something like that.
Right. So that's something that I've noticed just from the being on the ReadWriteWeb staff now for a couple of weeks, is that there's different sort of strata of writers. Right. You have your news writers that, and I think I'm lucky that ReadWriteWeb gives the news writers a certain amount of latitude about what they cover, what they think is important and interesting to cover.
Yeah.
And it's not like, say, TechCrunch, where you have to basically regurgitate everything, no matter, if it's been covered anywhere else before, and try to get the edge if you can, So there's a little more room there, and they've been very decent with me. But then they also have, like Marshall, who's sort of their lead editorial writer, and he has opinions, he researches, and he does a lot of longer blog posts, and I have a couple of other people that do that as well. So my role is to just kind of maybe have sort of a light review, mostly news type of take on the news stories, and then I guess eventually, if I get good at that, there's an opportunity, maybe, I don't know, at ReadWriteWeb, but hopefully, I guess that's what people move into, sort of a more marquee writing position. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good opportunity. So how's first thing that happened to me Well, I mean, not first thing, because Twitter wasn't a big deal, but pretty soon after I joined Mashable, my Twitter account started ballooning. Has that started happening for you?
When I first joined up with ReadWriteWeb, I did get like 60 or 70 people following me on Twitter, and it's been growing probably 5 to 10 a day.
And your face, you get all kinds of weird, not weird. I don't want to call these people weird, but because they added them as friends, but like people you've never heard of before, but they've all got the same friends. You've got Pete Cashmore and probably Richard McManus and like all these people that you're friends with, but you don't know.
Actually, yeah, one of the things that I noticed before is having a very small sort of tech blog. I never got PR news releases. I never got breaking news or anything like that. And maybe that was my own fault for not having a dedicated tips email address.
No, because that's the same thing. What I did before I started with Mashable is I copied TechCrunch's send me tips form, and I never got tips.
Yeah.
But once your name kind of gets dropped into that pool, I will never stop getting tips.
Yeah, now they're mailing me at my Screwkin address, they're mailing me in my personal email, like everywhere, and I just forward them to the tips box, so we can cover them.
Has the phone call started?
No, I have not gotten phone calls. I've gotten one. There's a guy. I don't know if I should mention it, but there's a guy here at South by Southwest. He really wanted some coverage from ReadWriteWeb, and he did give me a call. Unfortunately, I was already very busy, so
it's some folks don't seem to understand, the process for story selection. There was one lady. It's good that I don't remember her firm because otherwise I'd mention it. But she would call me. I worked the late shift, so I didn't get up till about 11 o'clock in the morning. And she would call me from like 7 a.m. to, whenever she got tired of dialing the number, 14 times a day to get coverage. Literally 14 times a day. My wife thought we had a stalker.
That's crazy.
So, it doesn't happen often, thankfully. I've had like 2 or 3 incidents like that.
Know how you can easily solve those. Publish your new Google Voice or Grand Central number if you have one, and you can actually block.
She was tricky because she called. That's one I published, is my Grand Central. But she would. I pushed the little option so anytime she called, it would say this number is disconnected. And she would call from like payphones and stuff. I mean, it was like kind of creepy.
Wow. So. That's taking it to an extreme. Man.
She was borrowing co-workers' cell phones. I mean, I had like 15 numbers for her that I had to block. So. It was
luckily that hasn't actually happened to me. But I guess I'll have to expect that.
The longer you're there, everyone has 1 or 2 PR horror stories, so you may get one. You may get one. Don't be surprised. All right. Well, it's cool. It's cool to meet you finally, and I'm having a lot of fun here. I know you are too. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think I'm going to go back to BarCamp. If you guys have not heard of BarCamp, it's in Austin, right? It's free, little do-it-yourself sort of thing. Still trying to wrap my head around it. I'll probably write it up later today because I don't think people really. At least I never really got it until I went there, and it's kind of like the anti-conference. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And so everybody should go once at least, and you don't need a badge.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need a badge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else are you doing this? Anything? Making any special appearances? You looking forward to any special meetup events or parties?
Well, I'm trying to actually get some interviews for ReadWriteWeb with people. I talked to a couple of journalists and a couple of developers that are working on things, and so that's pretty cool. I'm just trying to network in general while I'm here. And there are a couple of panels I really want. I want to see Paul Buchheit's panel tomorrow, and of course Lewis is on a panel, and I'm going to see. I guess she's not here anymore, but Charlene Lee's,
she was sitting right over here.
Today, so I'm going to go to that one.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, man. I'll see you around.